Today I'm gonna go a little bit more in depth about my goals and also talk a little bit about the background, why I've chosen these specific goals. My name is Martin and this is my journey for reaching my 4 creative goals before I reach 40. Before we dig into the main topic, I want to thank my first subscribers. And not very surprisingly, they come from Sweden, here in north of Europe. And I'm gonna put a pin there. And say hej och välkomna. So I got a question about why I have chosen those 4 specific creative goals. It all lies, I guess, in my background and my interest. I come from outside a city called Uppsala, and I moved south to Malmö to study teaching. I made a lot of films when I was a kid. After I was done with my teacher's degree, I realized 2 things. The first one was that I was not very keen on teaching at the moment. And the second one was that there actually are people working with film. So I studied film for 3 years. I made a handful of short movies and started my own small production company. While I was still doing that, I got contacted by a high school that needed a film teacher and did that for 3 years. Then I wanted to do something else. I ended up in this game company. I worked first as a tester, but then I continued to working as a video editor. And now I'm going to screenwriting school. I want to create a feature film, or the screenplay to a feature film. I don't really care if it's me who makes it or someone else, as long as I can clearly see that it's my script it's based upon. When it comes to books, I actually prefer to listen to books, mostly because I tend to get very tired when I read books. But listening to books I really enjoy, because I can do it when I'm walking, and hopefully I don't fall asleep while walking. I mostly read science fiction when I read fiction, and I have a long history of reading comics while growing up. I got in contact with like the Swedish Spider-Man editor, basically, who called out for people to create like a Swedish superhero comic. The result of this was, for me, 2 published comics. A couple of years ago I started on a military science fiction novel, which I actually have finished the first draft on. But the goal for the book is to publish a novel that I have written, basically. And it doesn't have to be published by a big publisher. I think it's actually pretty dumb to put that in the hands of other people, because it's hard to get published. I'm totally fine with publishing it myself. I just want to hold a book in my hand that I have written. So the record. I come from a pretty musical family, and during my military service I did my first recording on like a Fostex 4-channel cassette recorder. Like, I call it the squeaker, because sometimes it just jumped over to like doing a squeaking noise that was very unpleasant. But yeah, I guess we could listen to the first recording. I met her out in cyberspace. She had so this song is about, I guess you write what you know, and this was basically my relationship to love at the moment. Talking to people over internet and stuff like that. It's kind of cheesy, yes, but it is what it is. And my goal is to do something better than this. I want to make a record. Doesn't really matter if it's a physical copy or a digital one. And then I want to be able to perform the songs live. I love games. I played board games all my life. And then I have also spent a lot of time with role-playing games. I played my first digital games on NES, but also when Click and Play and the Games Factory came into my life, that was like amazing. Because it was basically a click and play and drag interface where you could create your own games. In my drawers there are a lot of stuff like this. This I think is from a cat game that me and a friend were working on for a short time. I have a lot of those ideas, but usually what interests me the most is the mechanics of creating games. Lately I have mostly been sitting in the Unreal Engine and RPG Maker, and that is also my fourth creative goal, then, to create a game. And it's hard because it's always kind of collaborative. But at least I want to publish a game where I feel like I have been like the main designer. So that is my 4 goals and the reasons why I want to do exactly those. So how has my past week been? In school we have been basically working with like structure and characters. And there's been a lot of brainstorming. Most of the assignments has been to take one idea and then make like 10 or 15 variations of it. It's kind of it can be kind of tough, and sometimes it feels like, why am I doing this? I already have the answer to this. But then one of the ideas pops up as like, or I could do it in this way. But I think the big thing this week, talking about school, is that I have started to create an outline for my thriller idea. Then we have Narcissus, which I was talking about last week. It's been laying around since, I think I had the idea like in 2010 or 11 or something like that. And I've always been trying to like find a structure where I could use like theories about human emotion, like the basic emotions that humans have. But it's been hard because it's firstly they don't really, there's not like one model, and there's not really much you can do with it as far as I know. But we were talking about the Groundhog Day and how that's based upon an idea about like the human, the stages you go through when you're in grief. I thought about like, could I apply this to the Narcissus script? And lo and behold, I could. So this idea is basically, it's based on the Kübler-Ross model, which says that you go through 5 phases. First you go into denial, then you go into a state of anger, then you start to like bargain with God or so about this, and then you go in often into a depression, that there is no point. And then you hopefully end up in some kind of acceptance. And I try to apply this to my characters. And the script that I have already written, it actually fitted pretty well. So that is actually really cool. So I will continue to work on that one. But it was, it could be something really big, because now I can build my characters around something. The story was more plot driven before, and more trying to make an ideological point kind of about humanity. But now it's more character driven, and the world is working more as a metaphor. So the upcoming week is the first writing week. I will meet my mentor for the first time and discuss this outline. But then it's all about writing. I will start the first draft for the thriller, and I think I will try to squeeze in some time for Narcissus too. So on to my one cool thing. This time it's Duolingo. It's language teaching app. You can choose from several different languages. So you have different lessons that you go into, and then you get the XP for finishing a lesson, and you learn new words, and they have a website also, but I think like the app format is what I really like about it. A lesson takes around 10 minutes, and you can do it in whatever pace you want, and it goes through both reading, writing, listening, and talking, and it's all for free. So check out Duolingo, and I will put a link down in the description. So that's basically what I had this week. If you have any feedback, write it, and remember to subscribe if you want to continue to follow me on my journey, reaching my 4 creative goals before I reach 40. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.